I would like to welcome you on behalf of the University, especially the Faculty of the Humanities, on behalf of BAC, the Contemporary Art Institute situated in Utrecht, and also on behalf of Student Generale, of course. I would now first like to give the floor just to place this lecture in a series of lectures, Citizens and Subjects, to Maria Jova, who is the curator of the Biennale project in Venice. And she will just, the Dean. I'll introduce to you the Dean of the Faculty of the Humanities. He will just say a few words of how important he thinks it is that the university takes on discussions like these. I would now like to welcome to the podium our Dean of the Faculty of the Humanities, William van der Akker.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tariq Ramadan, first of all, welcome. And as Dean of the Humanities, I would like to say a few words before I give the floor for the lecture of our distinguished guest of today, Dr. Tariq Ramadan. And I would like to stress the importance that the university and maybe in particular our Faculty of Humanities attaches to both the arts and the role of science in the public debate on important issues like immigration, integration, citizenship, which are the topics of our discussion today. I think we're in good company. Recently, I saw an announcement of the new president of Harvard University, Dr. Drew Faust, and she announced the installation of a special task force on the role of the performance and practice of art in the curriculum of Harvard University. And before that, the relation was ambivalent. Now she wants very clearly to define her aspirations and opportunities for the university. And I think that's a very good thing to do. If I look at Utrecht University, there has always been a big gap between what we do in the university and what the performing arts in general, also the organizations around that, do on the other hand. Now, I think the fact that we are an inner city campus gives us special opportunities. As you may know or may not know, some years ago there was a discussion about moving to the Uithof. We won the discussion by staying in the inner city. Moreover, the new board of the university sees the advantages of the university being in the inner city, and we're going to build a much more fancy campus in the inner city together with the Faculty of Law. Now, just to mention the success of the Culturele Zondagen, I hope you're familiar with that, cultural Sundays in this Calvinistic country, and show how fruitful the cooperation between the university on the one hand and the city of Utrecht on the other hand can be. Many teachers, scholars contribute to the city's cultural position, and there are interesting and promising interactions between, on the one hand, the performing arts and arts organization like BAC and the university on the other hand. To put it very short, put Rosie Pardotti and Maria Jova together in a room for half an hour, and the result will be a project or many projects that keep us all busy for the next decade. And if I say keep us all busy, I mean all. Now, I would like to stress here, this is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. It's not from the university, from the academic thinking in the world into the performing arts. It's a two-way street. The performing arts and the performing arts organizations are going to contribute to our scientific, intellectual agenda. Just a quote from another college. Recently, Amherst College, the arts include performance arts, art history, Asian art, etc., should be thought as a form of visual understanding, being one of the academic skills. Others are writing, quantitative skills, global comprehension, experimental learning, and face-to-face learning. So the arts should be part of the curriculum, since it's a way of understanding our world and part of an academic liberal arts education. Also, our culture becomes more and more visible, a visible culture, and a culture that plays with language, advertising, propaganda, and rhetorics, which makes this form of understanding more and more important. From the lectures in the series, Citizens and Subjects, Rosie, for instance, mentions using the visual arts and language as a way to redefine ourselves, design new concepts of citizenship, for instance. Imagine another future. I think that Tariq Ramadan also hold these opinions, or similar opinions. Defining new intellectual concepts on issues such as immigration is a role for the academic. The interaction between town and gown, public sphere and university is important. Academics can hold up a mirror to society, define new language and concepts and clarify the debate. And also the local level becomes more important. In this whole talk about globalization, I miss, many times I miss the word local. And it's not a or it's an N. These are important issues on the local level: immigration, integration, citizenship. And I think here's a connection with a project like Vrede van Utrecht, being the first diplomatic peace process which led to the map of the world as we now know it. Gibraltar being British, Canada being both French and British, and so on. And this treaty was, of course, that's why it's named the Utrecht Treaty, signed here. Also now we are looking for diplomatic processes, alternatives to war and terrorism in the world, because the world order definitely changed since the Cold War. So academic thought as well as art have a role to play in the public sphere in social change, not in solving problems per se. We can differ in opinion on the role of academia in that respect, but in clarifying, imagining, etc. Inversely, art has a role in the academics. Next Monday, I have to defend before a government committee the position and what we should do about the humanities in this country. And I think that the humanities have made or are making a real progress in this respect. About 15 years ago, there was another governmental committee where the humanities were declared an orchid sciences, endangered sciences, and the humanities stood up and saying, we are so excellent in mummy science and other things, and it's the only position in the world where we do that. So the government gave money to save all the endangered species. Well, next Monday we're going to sound another point of view of humanities as much more proudly, much more autonomous, as representing the whole socio-cultural capital, and which is also, I think, a very important economic factor, and not economic in a broad sense. Now, for this reason, I'm especially proud of the Biennale project coming from the collaboration between BAC and our faculty of humanities, and the way the university involves the public to take part in these discussions. And that's why the order is like this, and that's why I now please invite Marie.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, William. I would just like to say a couple of words to situate this series of lectures within the Biennial project, at the risk of repeating myself for those of you who come regularly every week to this wonderful room for the lectures. The Biennial project, Dutch contribution to the 52nd International art exhibition in Venice, consists of 3 parts. The first part, Citizens and Subjects, Arnold Mick, is, or should I say, was a project by Arnold Mick in the Dutch Pavilion in Venice. The exhibition closed yesterday. So there is unfortunately no longer chance to see the installation there. Second part of the project is the critical reader titled Citizens and Subjects, the Netherlands, for example, edited by Rosie Braidotti, Charles Escher, director of Van Abbe Museum, and myself. A third part of the project, titled Citizens and Subjects, Practices and Debates, is this series of talks. We envisioned the series as a sort of extension of the Dutch Pavilion in Venice back to the Netherlands, because we feel that it's this nation state that we obliged in some way to debate debate through various positions and understandings of our time, our condition, our Western condition, here where we live. The project Citizen and Subject is actually elaborated around the notion or sentiments of fear and anxiety that we, by and large, experience here in the West, stemming from various threats, real or imagined, but very often connected mainly to the notions of immigration and terrorism. And in this country we very easily and very quickly, without too much thinking, connect these two issues of immigration and terrorism to the questions of Islam. And that's why this lecture by our distinguished guest, Tariq Ramadan, is something I very much look forward to understand where we are in the West at this moment, vis-à-vis this question of major social and ethical importance. I will return the microphone to Melanie Peters before we are able to offer the floor to Tariq Ramadan. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. So the big question we've been asking ourselves is why in the Western world we haven't come to terms with immigration, both morally or politically, and we thought that Tariq Ramadan should be a voice that should be heard in this discussion. He's born in Geneva of Egyptian descent, maybe that's relevant in the context of what we're discussing. He's an eminent scholar, a professor at Rotterdam University, and his chair is Citizenship and Identity. And he's also a fellow at Oxford University, also in Kyoto, in Japan. So we are very, very glad you could be here and speak to us today. And his talk is titled Islam in the West, is it an impossible religion or a clashing culture? I would like to ask for a warm welcome for Tariq Ramadan.